Good evening and welcome back to the Dwarven Fortress of Keskalokil, where our desperate attempts at disposing of all the dead goblins that we've got lying around keep being thwarted by the arrival of more goblins. So we've got a fair amount of the railway necessary to transport the dead goblins to the place where the dead goblins can be disposed of. Not quite so much of the arrangements for getting the minecarts back again, but like that's a problem for future me. We also seem to have quite a few like dead dwarves who've got killed in the recent invasion. I think it's only 2 or 3, because the goblins discovered the railway for the disposal of their bodies and tried to use it to invade the fortress, which was like slightly more successful than most of their plans, by which I mean only moderately unsuccessful. So they all died, but they did manage to take a couple of dwarves with them because we fundamentally weren't expecting them to try to come in that way. So now we're in the process of tidying up, and well, apparently an elven caravan has arrived. So probably we should like start organising ourselves for that. Kind of forgotten how to do trading.
Don't give them bins full of goblin bits.
I think they won't actually mind that. They don't want me giving them bins full of bone bracelets, though. And not just because they dislike the letter B. But I'm sure we can find some things that they'll take away. Like there was something in there made of rope reed. Any bin in stockpile 27 is probably good. Though of course we mustn't try to sell them the bins themselves because those are mostly made of wood. And we have in the past managed like successful trading encounters with elves without them storming off in a huff. So it's clearly possible. No, that's no good. It's an armour bin, which means it's full of leather armour, which like is fine to sell to other people, but not much good to sell to elves. They will buy beeswax trinkets, won't they? So maybe we could sell them some beeswax trinkets, but we can probably do all right just selling them plant fibre socks. I doubt we have a shortage after all. I think 33 is the notionally new clothes stockpile. So we'll ignore that if we'll just see if we can do all right with just things from stockpile 27. That's all of that. So there's okay. Most of them are actually already in the trade depot. So let's summon our broker there immediately. I mean, admittedly, like the caravan does actually have to make it to the trade depot first. Here they are, just entering the west gate. What's that cage? It's a giant hamster cage, right? That's nice. We should probably like construct some of those so that we can start training. Giant hamsters, yes. I mean, I'm not quite sure what happens if we attempt to train beak dogs. I have a feeling it may go horribly wrong in some way. Not really. I think they only have 2 legs, so they're kind of a bit more bird-like. I think they're more featherless, flightless birds, large featherless, flightless birds than.
So more like ostriches or.
Yes, I mean not quite that shape, but
Dodos?
yeah, bigger than that though. I mean, I think they're more kind of short and squat than an ostrich, but suitable for goblins to ride.
Very fat dodo.
Possibly kind of velociraptor with a beak. There are photos on the wiki, not photos, drawings. Official. I think there's at least one official drawing of a beak dog. Yes, let's install a giant hamster cage. And another beak dog cage. And another giant hamster cage. Sadly, I don't think you can train giant hamsters for war. And like wrens and keas are really too small to be useful. And grackles. And Tearsal peregrines probably. I mean, I think Tearsal peregrines might actually be officially like animals rather than vermin. So let's set up one of those as well. Though, of course, the dwarves are all busy doing other things, like trying to dispose of all this rubbish. You need giant Kias for book stealing, sadly. Goodness, we've got another strange mood.
We haven't had any for ages, so
We had definitely had one last session
probably after.
because I was searching for useful materials for them. Where's that strange moody dwarf got to? I mean, I don't really need to follow them yet. Need to wait. Once they've got themselves a suitable workshop, then it might be worth paying attention to them, though we can possibly tell based on their skills. Adequate woodcrafter, I suppose, they might go for. Contentment from going through a waterfall, which is nice. The waterfall seems to be mostly working properly. Possibly I should get back to swimming training soon.
Once you're off sweeping up goblin training
Yeah, there is that.
and trading.
So, you've claimed a mechanics workshop. Intriguing. And they're currently hauling some shale into it. And some more shale. This is quite slow moving large lumps of rock around. And some more shale. You're making this entire thing out of rock. Weird person. Oh, and some round bloodstone cabochons. Well, that's nice. And some siltstone blocks. This is going to be fairly dull if you make it all out of like grey sedimentary rock or even brown sedimentary rock. Rope reed cloth, that's a bit different. Red with red root dye. The rope reed cloth, that is. And some more rope reed cloth. This bit is not red. And some more bloodstones. Oh, that's odd. Something has collapsed on the surface. I think... so I was building some floor out here. And I think I may actually have asked for it to be collapsed somewhere where it couldn't be supported. And so the moment it was constructed, it immediately collapsed. The entertaining thing is that this seems to have caused the game to notice that there was a dead dwarf and a bunch of other stuff hanging in midair here, and caused them to fall as well. So that was what I was hoping to achieve by building that patch of floor. Was that it would be possible to retrieve the objects that were hanging in midair. It turns out that actually just constructing something nearby caused the game to suddenly have a like Wile E. Coyote moment and notice that some things were falling, that some things needed to fall.
That the gravity was on.
Yes. Because in a shocking bit of, oh dear, something's rotting. In a shocking bit of efficiency, the game doesn't actually scan every square, every tick in order to work out whether gravity needs to do anything.
On cartoon physics, it's so much more amusing.
So yes, you can occasionally get cartoon physics going on. So, oh yes, I'm slightly paying attention to the dwarf with the strange mood, aren't I? Where have they got to now? I'm sure we'll see them in a moment. They're probably underneath that miasma. Possibly they're going off in search of some metal or something. Oh, there they are. Hauling some gold bars. See, I was right. Right, and are now making a mysterious construction. Excellent. Right, the merchants are unloading goods. Right, let's see what we can... I've achieved my stream title. What was it? Oh, plucking dead dwarves out of the air. Yes. Right. Let's see let's see if they've got anything we want first. Like maybe we're just going to go no. Oh, we'll have an armadillo. Maybe a lion tamarin. No, I think that's kind of monkey, and that's not very useful. No, we don't want a wooden spear. I mean, I suppose we could buy some shoes. I think we probably have enough shoes. Go on, let's have some dwarven shoes. And some dwarven mittens, just for variety. And they do tend to bring us fruit that we haven't otherwise got access to. And kinds of clothes we haven't got, and that's about it. Right, I can probably do that with like selling them some slightly worn out socks. With a bit of care. To avoid anything that contains or might contain animal or tree material. Must not get accidentally distracted by the idea of orca leather gloves or whatever that was. Don't sell them the orca leather glove. Actually get a pair of gloves there. How unusual. Kind of suspicious of these grown rope reed chaussees. Where did we get those from? Did we get them from other dwarves? Dwarves? Elves. Anyway, they're making enough profit now. Let's hit the trade button. Oh, damn it! I apparently chose something I shouldn't have chosen. What did I get wrong? They talked about a creature. Pigtails are plants. Did I accidentally select the orca leather socks? No, I don't think so. I don't think there's anything problematic in there. Did I select a llama wool sock? I don't think I selected a llama wool sock. And none of them was decorated. I don't see anything problematic there, you awkward elves. Pigtail, rope reed, pigtail, rope reed, sheep wool. Oh dear, right. There it is. Found it. Yes, as you say, bah. Oh well. I mean, we could click the seize button just to annoy them. It's quite tempting, actually. This might cause the elves to come and beat us up, but on the other hand... Right, we've seized it anyway. That might annoy them. We've also found a dead surgeon. I should possibly have checked where that was. Plus there's probably an animal corpse rotting in our hospital. Animals shouldn't rot, it's annoying. Ideally, they wouldn't die in the hospital, to be fair. Right. The merchants have gone, but we have stolen their tame armadillo. We've also got quite a lot of goblins in cages now. And apparently an ocelot, which I don't remember stealing. Pretty sure I would have remembered it if I'd stolen an ocelot, but... So that minecart is still not full of stuff, which is a bit confusing, but it's possible that there's just everyone's busy doing other tasks.
Let's talk about Nick Ocelots, because when you're in a position to do so,
I'm just going to assign
the oscillating ocelot anyway.
traders at random.
Not as an Ubuntu release, no.
Right. So now we're going to try training the beak dogs and see what happens to them. Meanwhile, what's going on? We've apparently got a ghost around. All right, we are actually working on engraving a memorial to.
So, please stop being a ghost.
Yes. Right, and meanwhile, oh, yes. I think there's there's a dwarf corpse there, but I think someone can pick that up. I think we're going to need to drain the river now in order to get some of this stuff off, which probably just means opening drain A and seeing what happens. Assuming we can still open drain A, but I think we can, yes. So that contains a tame armadillo, and therefore we can release the tame armadillo. Right, we are now draining the river, and that is indeed sucking stuff down that drain quite effectively. There are an awful lot of odd bits that need to be sucked down there, especially from that square. Oh, there it goes. Dear, there's another dead animal somewhere. I may need to start getting more proactive about slaughtering older animals, simply so that they don't end up rotting in the dining room. Also, people seem to be showing a distinct tendency towards leaving leaving clothes lying around the place. I mean, I say got it, but the dog I marked for disposal some time ago still hasn't actually been moved. So, like, oh, that looks like another dead dog.
With most of bodies, there comes a point where it's very difficult to move them.
That one was already marked for disposal, and indeed has rotted all the way down to a skeleton without anyone shifting it. Well, let's see if we can get any more of these teeth moved, but we have a shale mechanisms. Artifact shale mechanisms. We're doing mechanisms quite a bit now. This is a shale mechanisms All craft dwarf ship is of the highest quality. It is encrusted with oval shale cabochons and rectangular siltstone cabochons, and encircled with bands of rectangular siltstone cabochons, point-cut bloodstones, and rope reed. This object menaces with spikes of shale. On the item is an image of armadillo in shale. On the item is an image of turnip plants in rope reed. On the item is an image of dwarves in bloodstone. The dwarves are travelling. The artwork relates to the foundation of emerald sealing by the treaties of plunging. By the treaties of plunging of the orbs of yore in the late spring of 101. On the item is an image of Ngoso stone steel, the goblin, and a cave dragon in gold. The cave dragon is striking down. Can I scroll to the bottom, please? Oh, good. Ngoso stone steel. The artwork relates to the killing of the goblin, Ngoso stone steel, by a cave dragon in the Sea of Mines in the early summer of 113 during Kirkslodze, the assaults of Searing. So yes, that's quite a good mechanisms. Oh dear, someone has got clouted on the head by stuff pouring down into the drains. That drain may be getting clogged now. There's not much water going down it. Indeed, yeah, the squares below it for quite some way are like full. I think is screwing up the drainage system a bit. Maybe we should turn it off for a little while.
Are there multiple of it since its mechanisms, or is this just some eccentric...
I don't know why Dwarf Fortress pluralises mechanism everywhere, or at least in enough places. But yes, the items... Why is there a dead goblin here? Please dispose of the dead goblin. So each of these items here is a mechanisms. Albatross. We might not have enough items designated for melting. Possibly we should fix that. I presume that this construction is actually ongoing. That cat can get up here, so it's clearly accessible. Right, so having turned off that drainage briefly, now the dwarves can try to pick out the ludicrous amount of stuff down here. I mean, quite a lot of it's forbidden. Possibly more of it should be forbidden. Otherwise people are going to put a lot of effort into hauling bits of dead goblin out again. Let's, as a temporary measure, but some of them will rot. Yeah, but that's fine. It's all locked away. Let's just mark most of that as forbidden. Simply, actually need to forbid the floor grate. Presumably the cat's not forbidden. You can't forbid a cat. Just like unforbid some items that look useful. Because then soldiers can pick them out again and reuse them. And at least they've all been washed. Like, you're not getting second-hand armour soaked in dwarf blood. Right, and obviously if there are any dwarf corpses in here, we'll want to unforbid them as well. Other things we'll leave forbidden for now, simply so that they don't get moved around again. Like, I'm sure someone will want them at some point, but right now we have things we want dwarves to do more than moving craft around the fortress. Did I miss one? No, I didn't. Mostly now going, let's find the dead dwarves in this pile and unforbid those. If, of course, there are any. Burr looks like a dwarven name, doesn't it? Oops, wrong button. Oh good, you remembered where I'd scrolled to. There are actually quite a lot of dead dwarves in here. Snodab is definitely a part of a goblin name. Using ng as an initial consonant is also very dwarven. Dwarven? Goblin. Right. We've unforbidden various things that do actually need to be buried, though. So that will help. Right now. I was more wanting to look at the task list and go, there's only a moderate amount of stuff that needs storing in stockpiles. I wish they would prioritise storing items in tombs over storing items in stockpiles, though. Like, that really should be the highest, a fairly high priority, maybe not the highest priority. There isn't an option for pausing a stockpile, is there? No. I mean, I suppose you can delete the stockpile entirely, but we're mostly trying to stick things in stockpile 64. Is that this one? No. That's 72, that's 73, this one's 64. Not sure I want you putting things in there, but, well, I mean, that will at least eventually get them properly disposed of, won't it? The dwarves of the Treaty of Caves now know a few facts about Kia training. That's a tame ocelot, so we can release that one. That's not a tame Tearsal peregrine. That one is apparently a tame lion tamarin, but I think That turns out that a lion tamarin is a kind of thing, vermin animal, and so I'm not quite sure we can release it.
Well, I mean, often little minkies are a kind of vermin.
Yes. Maybe we should like have somewhere else that we put the vermin cages. Um, Seb says, vermin, surely like weeds, it depends on the context. Yes, in Dwarf Fortress, though, vermin is a technical term relating to animals that are so small that the game only kind of keeps track of them, that are more item than animal, like bees. Um, and yes, and there. So I think we have a few other things in cages. The grackle and the snail, and the wren and the lion tamarin are all vermin. Oh, the warp thing, waterfall stopped working again. Unpause waterfall so that people will fill it up with water. Oh dear, someone was interrupted while trying to build this very long minecart track. Let us tell them, please, no, actually work on it. Also, why are you taking a goblin corpse from here and putting it in the other stockpile when this stockpile can perfectly well take goblin corpses? This I do not understand. Now, I'm not sure I very much mind people tidying up the dead goblins a little bit. It would be nice if they could do it somewhat efficiently.
They're dwarves. Efficiency is not a word they're very familiar with, unless possibly you stick in front of it.
All right, that dwarf at least was picking up a goblin part from just outside this stockpile. So I'll forgive that.
Is the stockpile possibly overflowing with...
No. Stockpiles can't really overflow. If you put multiple objects in a square, then that's fine, and they're all officially in the stockpile. It does slightly feel like, though, the dwarves are prioritising the wrong things, and in particular are prioritising storing bits of dead goblin over burying dwarves and indeed constructing railways, which is obviously the highest priority.
Sea of Cambridge Blue.
Yes. So the Office of External Affairs has declared a new colour to be Cambridge blue. I think they decided the old one was just not tasteful enough. The old one is now like something like Cambridge Heritage Blue or some such.
You mean they couldn't get the colour palette to work with whatever set of stupid colours they wanted unless they tweaked the colour?
The new one is closer to what reasonable people would describe as blue.
Yes, well that's not the point of Cambridge Blue, is it?
I mean, it's still more or less cyan. I mean, the dwarves do seem to be reasonably, like, enthusiastically moving bits of dead goblin around. It's just a pity they're doing that. Yes, thank you, Seb. That's the correct location. The new colours. So SGT says, so does every former sports bod with a blue have to return it for a new one? I don't think so. I think those blues are not the business of the Office of External Affairs and Communication. So they probably didn't match the old Pantone reference either. The new colour is a lot more cheerful. Oh, this is someone actually going to build a railway. Excellent. Please build more railway. Not happy after having after the experience of seeing a ghost though. Right. Sodell Dye Club, who is going off to drink. Let's have a look at the slab situation. Yes, that slab has been made. Slab there. Okay, I think the memorial we've just made has been scheduled for moving and therefore can't be thinged. Let's briefly forbid it so that we can install it. Right. That should help to deal with the ghost, which has been upsetting people a little bit. What's that? Is it agitated raven skeleton? still attracting no migrants. We need to make it maybe less dangerous, I don't know. Maybe give people better bedrooms. Also, what is going on with this merchant? Why is there a merchant here lying on the ground? Guarded by an active dwarf and surrounded by an albatross, a giant fly, a dead albatross, a dead giant fly, and with a camel also lying down nearby. Slightly odd. So it seems the dwarves are at least doing something useful now, if still not burying any of their own. Yes, Diziot, I can assure you that the hooray that the university's branding has been, and indeed every other company's branding has been very much like this forever, or at least for decades. Like, this is a new set of university branding for the first time in 10 years or so. And it is sometimes quite nice to have a thing that just says, yes, just paint it this shade of cyan, it will all be fine. So, where's that slab? I need to read the slab because it's traditional. I mean, of course, if you don't see the shade of cyan the same way everyone else does, it may not be quite so helpful. Right, where was I? This is a finely crafted shale memorial to Etur Udeshatir. The slab reads, in the memory of Etur Udeshatir, born 53, drowned in the year 114, lover of weapon racks. It is coated with water. Yes, I don't quite know. They presumably, I don't quite know how they drowned. But drown they did. Now, how about burying the rest of them so we don't have to carve more damned slabs for them? If you could just bury the dwarves, we could save you from carving all these slabs. But no, everyone is busy moving goblin bits around. There aren't actually that many more goblin bits on the list, though. So maybe once they've done that, they'll think about, like, burying dead dwarves rather than moving dead goblins around. I don't know if a task gets spawned for everything that could be stored. I think it does. So the number still to be stored is quite small. Most of them already have a dwarf assigned. They're mostly in these squares here. Possibly I could fix this simply by expanding the nearby thing slightly, but on the other hand, there are so few of them that still need to be moved now. Compared to the amount of other stuff that needs to be moved. Track is growing very slowly. Is anyone actually working on it? Oh dear, no, I think another bunch of store goblin part in stockpile jobs has been spawned. How annoying. Yes, someone is working on building that track. It's just like quite a long walk. To pick up each gypsum block and haul it up to the very end of the track and then come back for the next one. And then, yes, I think each next job only gets scheduled once it's possible to reach it, at which point someone can then pick up the next gypsum block and start carrying it up here. And in this case, it appears to be the same dwarf who now has to walk all the way down, collect a gypsum block, bring it back up here, and so forth. Which is why this is such a slow process. Actually, one way to slow down moving goblin parts, it occurs to me, would be to allow each stockpile to have a wheelbarrow, because I think then people will only move things using the wheelbarrow, and that thus serialises goblin transport. I'm just going to mark some more things as forbidden. And then unforbid dwarf corpses. Simply to try to encourage the dwarves to do something sensible. Now that one is a dwarf part, almost certainly. Actually, what we could do is just mark all of the goblin parts stockpiles. Oh, that's why that one's not being filled up from the nearby things, because it's actually marked as do not fill this stockpile. If we just mark all the goblin part stockpiles as not to have objects put in them anymore, that will probably improve matters.
Slightly textured, can we not just...
Gareth is complaining about the biscuits. We do still seem to have some goblin storage stock jobs pending. It looks like turning that off turning off take from anywhere doesn't actually cause things to stop that are already scheduled to be moved there to stop being moved there. But maybe that will stop new things being moved there. Which is corpse stockpile 67 then? That's 72, that's 73, that's 64. Oh, that one's 67. Yes, we want 67 because that moves dead dwarf bits into a location where they can be quickly put into tombs. That means we can move them into that stockpile in parallel, which is somewhat efficient. Seb says, wow, you have a lot of corpse stockpiles. Stockpiles are all numbered in a single series, so I do only actually have 4 corpse stockpiles. 3 for goblins and 1 for dwarves, roughly speaking. So hopefully now that I've done that, yes, people are finally burying dwarves. Here comes someone about to bury a dwarf, I hope. Sorry, I'm just thinking it was unfortunate that this dwarf had to walk around the mist generator, and maybe this could be better organised by like having ramps over the mist generator or something. Are you just going to find some tooth down here that you're going to bury? Yes, his name is Dastot Rhyming Blockade. Sorry, her name is Dastot Rhyming Blockade. How about you bury someone else? Thank you. It's possible my fortress has too many long, thin passages in it. Oh, are you going to dig someone out of the drains? I now want to know what you're up to. I've turned the drains. I've stopped things going down the drains for a bit. Okay, apparently we just slaughtered a cat. Yes, we apologise for the miasma. That's caused by your not having come and done this job earlier. Also, you're going to be very slow getting there, lugging that corpse with you. And your routing through 3 people's bedrooms is kind of weird. You're actually wearing old clothing? No, you're not. Oh, you are. Your hood is a bit worn. Not bad, though, really. Right, well, I'm pleased that you're doing that. I'm not going to watch you because it's going to take you forever. Yes, most of the burials are like actually happening now, which is good. More of the minecarts railway is being constructed, which is also good. We do appear to have an entire dwarf skeleton stuck, dwarf goblin skeleton stuck in the funnel that attempts to collect dead creatures. It presumably got hurled up by the atom smasher, which is still, as far as I can tell, happily smashing atoms, so that's good. Here comes someone with another block for continuing to construct this railway. Is that an enormous mosquito? I don't think it is. At some point we'll start doing the store item in vehicle jobs. That'll be exciting. No one's currently considering doing them though. I think those must be, for some reason, terribly low priority or something. Still got plenty of burials to do. Curious that there's something in this column that still needs to be buried, but where was there a conflict? I don't think there was a conflict. Well, I suppose you've managed to bury one of their fingers. That's possibly helpful. I mean, I believe that burying just a single finger is enough to stop them rising as a ghost. So, yes, it is kind of helpful. Only 5 dwarves still being buried. I hope the giant bat is in the caverns. I presume this is someone coming along to maybe even pick up that dwarf who has been lying around there for a while. Yes. Excellent. See, we can tidy things up eventually. Still several dwarves in this stockpile here, which is a bit weird. There are tasks pending to bury them. Well, one of them. Three dwarves still being buried, of which 2 are here. Oh, yeah, one of them is indeed being now being taken off from the stockpile to where they should go. 3 dwarves in the process of burial. One of them being hauled there, as we can see. Right, now we'll be down to two dwarves to bury, which I think one must be Vukar Aaron Logem. I hope one of them is Vukar Aaron Logem, because we've got one of their teeth and one of their ears and the rest of their skeleton here. We've all got various bits of other dwarves, but I think those dwarves are all still alive. I wonder what happens if a dwarf leaves some of their body parts behind and then dies off map. Do we then decide to bury them? Or are they no longer a citizen of the fortress and therefore not eligible for burial? One dwarf to be buried. Curiously, job still hasn't been scheduled. That's a bit weird. Railway is slowly getting there. So why is this job not happening then? What item can we not put in the tomb? Is there some other part of Vukar Aaron Logem's body, assuming that the person in question is Vukar Aaron Logem, that we can't bury, and that therefore is meaning that we can't bury any of the other bits because that one is the one that's getting priority? Can we find it? So I think this only shows those things that are officially entire skeletons, and we know where Vukar Aaron Logem's main skeleton is. I think we have to look under body parts. So there's a lower left back tooth, which is down here and thus obviously accessible. What I'm hoping is I'll find a part of Vukar Aaron Logem that is not currently properly accessible for some reason. And if I forbid that part, then some other part will get properly buried. Because I fear that what's happened is that some part of their body is inaccessible. And that's the part that's scheduled to be buried next, and therefore everything's going wrong. But I'm not doing very well at finding Vukar Aaron Logem on this list. And it certainly doesn't work to search. Kind of annoying. Maybe I should start at this end. find anything. Hmm. Maglevs and magpies are very different things. Trying to scan this as quickly as I reasonably can in search of bits of Vukara and Logem. Right. Oh, there are 2 lower left back teeth. Right, so we're around there in the list. So there's one of them, lower left back tooth. Now I have to re-find that place in the list. Somewhere above there. I know where I'm looking on the page. That might not work. Because we're not. Let's go right down to the bottom and then page up to roughly where we need to be. Because then the paging will work correctly. No, I've gone way past it. Where has it gone? Where has the other part of Vukararam Logem? Where has the other one of Vukararam Logem's teeth got to? This is all much faffier than it really ought to be. I'm sure we'll find it soon though. I think I've gone past it. I'm very confused. Obviously we need some decent search for this thing. Because as it is, I mean, I think the one this is plausibly what our problem is, because there were 2 teeth listed there, and I only know of 1 Vukararam Logem tooth that's easily accessible. So I wonder if the other one is somewhere that's like theoretically accessible, but no one can actually get to. But now I've managed to lose both of them. Let's try attacking this from a different perspective. Where are there objects that might be the problem? No, those are all, well, there's a few more up here. Because like teeth in the river, I can imagine being confusing. In that they might be theoretically accessible some of the time. But no, none of those belongs to Vukararam Logem. Where is Vukararam Logem's tooth, or whatever it is? Is it that I might forbid it? We do have quite a quantity of dead giant cardinals there. So now items are getting stored in bins. We still haven't quite reached the point where store item in vehicle jobs are being scheduled, or rather are being picked up. Which is where we would like to be, though we would also like this railway to be finished. It is growing slowly. But if people could start sticking things in that minecart, that would also be good. Some of these items we could melt, and that would get them picked up at least. I mention this because this is still my attempt at building a beach. But it's slightly hampered by the fact that there's a pile of stuff here that we would probably like to melt down, or at least find a use for. That was the button I wanted. I mean, it would be nice if the melt status was in this page, but okay, you can name your spear if you want to. Verity would suggest that Ron is not a sensible name for your spear, but since you didn't name it Ron, that's fine. I'm kind of wondering, with all this melting down of random copper items that we receive, we should just start having a great big copper stockpile in the depths of the fortress. What are you doing? Oh, you're the person currently doing the railway construction. Excellent. Almost nothing. Oh, right. Finally. Storing an item in that tomb. And now going to sleep. Can't actually find tomb number 400. Can we find it like this sensibly? No, because that doesn't actually appear to give us the number. How unhelpful. Oh, there we are. Vukaran and Logam's tomb. Currently containing quite a lot of separate teeth. Right. So someone else is now burying another part of Vukaran and Logam. I think since things seem to be working all right there now, namely Vukaran and Logam's left ear, Since things seem to be working all right there, I don't need to pay any more attention to that. Right. Still no one storing items in vehicles though, because there are apparently still other things to do, which is kind of inconvenient because I'd like them to start storing items in vehicles again. That would be helpful from a getting rid of all these goblin bits point of view, but it does look like it's quite a low priority. Appear to have a random stray U-corpse there, which is already scheduled to have something done with it. That's probably for the best. We do have a lot of things that are like waiting to be dumped, but no one actually seems to be getting around to doing dump item jobs either. Oh, we have at least managed to dismantle our spare water wheels that weren't working properly. We're now in the situation where we need slightly too much power, but I think we can now safely dismantle this gear assembly, because I think the rollers are holding the gear assemblies up. Let's find out, shall we? Okay, there's nothing under that square. We can at least mark that square to be mined. Oh, has someone cut down a tree? We've had trees waiting to be... Yes, someone is engaging in wood cutting finally. Which means we get an enormous pile of store item in stockpile jobs for the logs, but that's fine. We should probably make like that bridge somewhat more restricted. Right, someone is demolishing the gear assembly. Let's hope that doesn't cause everything to collapse. It doesn't look like it's caused everything to collapse. No, all the gears are there and they're now turning, which means that the rollers are now functioning. If only someone would fill the minecart with stuff. And people are starting to fill some minecarts. Ooh, how exciting. Look at all these teeth in this minecart. Sadly, the railway isn't actually constructed yet for it, but because we're still only here. But we're getting closer. And here comes the dwarf to build another square of it. And like it'll take at least a little while just to fill up that minecart. This one, of course, can operate already. It does take a little while to fill them because you can put an awful lot of goblin bits in a minecart. There we are, another square done. Still quite a lot of squares to go, sadly. Mandate? We haven't had a mandate for a while. What do you want? Cages. That might be almost useful. Items are getting dumped as well. This is exciting, I think. Maybe not very many of them, mind. I think that this place is failing to butcher any of its nearby items, which makes me think that it's probably that all of them are probably too small to be worth butchering or something like that. That definitely can't be butchered. A feather. Probably an individual toe of a leopard gecko, similarly. Or a Kia head. Anyway, go on, finish building this. I know it's a long way off. This minecart is now at 22% full, and dwarves are still constructing the railway to go with it. Only one person is currently loading vehicles. Where are you going with that? All right, you're going to try to butcher it, are you? It's only a paw. Is it going to produce a small quantity of beak dog bone? And also, why did you decide to butcher something from so far away? Like, isn't there a limit on the distance over you can carry things that are going to be butchered? Apparently not. You can see a dwarf in the middle of the map slowly collecting goblin parts. And putting them in a minecart. And here is our dwarf building the next bit of railway. animals taking quite a bit of butchering. Are you not a very good butcher by any chance? Dabbling butcher, yes. So now what's the last thing on the list here? Right, so that's just become Toad's left paw bone. It doesn't actually tell you, oops, no, I didn't mean to dump it. Which doesn't quite tell you what it is. I assume it's a beak dog bone. Possibly if it actually gets turned into something, we'll find out. Still one person storing items in vehicles, which is curious because there are 2 vehicles that need to be filled. And neither of them is full. Still, here's someone at least doing their job, and if they're not, they're going to sleep. Well, I had hoped they would be doing their job, but apparently not. That's still got a long way to go, hasn't it? How annoying. Where's our merchant got to? Can't find them at the moment. You're an 11-year-old water buffalo. You should probably be slaughtered. I'm kind of wondering whether it's more effort to slaughter an animal or to try to clear away its rotting corpse after it dies of old age. I mean, the slaughtering is fairly simple, but it does produce a load of meat that you then have to find a home for. Still plenty of space in these minecarts for people to put more goblin bits in, you know. Oh, have we dealt with all the burials yet? Yes, it looks like it. Good. Probably why items are actually getting dumped. Still apparently a lot of animals that need to be pushed back into the pasture. That's kind of awkward. There's still more of that minecart track to build. I think if we're going to build bulk minecart track, we probably need to start constructing staircases to make it easier. Also, I just spotted a loose bit of gypsum block in somewhere, which probably means that that got suspended, yes. If I were to somewhere around here go build construction staircase, up to that, it's quite tall though, isn't it? May take so long to build that actually it's quicker to do the rest of it. We'll see. And this may depend on whether anyone else wants to actually do that building work. There are far too many people trying to push animals back into this pasture. I mean, we really don't need those animals anyway. But disposing of them will take some effort too. What are you butchering now? An agitated giant cardinal head. Excellent. Oh, we're starting to build that staircase. It might reach up here before the rest of the railway is built, which will help with routing. And it is kind of faster to build this staircase because the rock blocks don't have to be moved very far. That's another goblin corpse in the wrong place. Looks like that minecart got sent off before it was full, which is probably reasonable. Yeah, this staircase is going to help. Good. Unfortunately, our butcher's shops are now getting tied up with slaughtering still living animals. So they're not being used so much for butchering the already dead ones, of which we have quite a lot too. Come on, someone build the rest of the staircase. Oh, I think they are doing. Yes, we're almost at the point where it can actually be used for constructing more railway. Oh good, we're filling up that minecart again. Right, so now we can actually expand into building that railway from the other end, which should improve matters. Because there should now be like 3 bits of track that can be constructed all at once. But at least one of them is scheduled. I appreciate I'm staying up a bit late tonight, but I would like to try to actually demonstrate the new railway working correctly. Ha. Or possibly to demonstrate it working incorrectly. I don't know which. Why is there a large number of bits of goblin there? A. Seb says to demonstrate it letting the sea in somehow. Well, yes, it is possible that our mountain halls, our mountain home, it is not actually a mountain home anymore, will drown again. What's that there? It's a random sock. Okay. This staircase does also mean that the track is a little bit less ludicrously cantilevered. So we can see the dwarves are now building this track from 3 ends. It should help to get it done in a slightly more reasonable time. Right, so now I can construct a track stop here. We want it to have maximum friction and we want it to dump northwards. Since we've got at least some wood available, let's make it out of wood. So why is that one stalled at 31% full? How is that a helpful place at which to stop loading it up? It would be really useful to know how to distinguish things that can and cannot usefully be butchered. Possibly you could do it by weight? I'm not sure. Oh, here is someone dragging a stray bull to be slaughtered. Only a few more squares to build there, but the track stop is kind of critical. Oh yes, I wonder if I ever sent the bug report saying you should not refer to cow meat, you should call it beef, and so forth. Cow meat is not actually the normal English phrase. certainly intended to send such a bug report. Yes, but we're so close to being able to run this train. Look, here comes someone building the track stop, and we need to build 2 more sections of track. One. So what are we going to need to do by way of how we set this going? I think we have someone push it, guide it up that ramp, because I think pushing it won't work. And then once it gets to here, we have then have them push it and not try to ride it, or otherwise stay with it and see what happens. So we'll want to add a second stop. Say here. Did that work? No. Add stop here. That will then be where the next step happens. Oops, that one got suspended. Right, let's unsuspend that. Indeed, there's the gypsum blocks waiting to be used to build that last square, which I'm sure someone will come along to do in a moment. Really? Come on. Also, what? It says track W still waiting to be built. Where is that? Oh, is that part of the downward ramp? No. There's none of that that's waiting to be built. It is suspended. Oh, it's that one, of course, yes, which is meant to be suspended, right. What's that? Oh, it's an albatross corpse. Indeed, being a capital A, it may be a giant albatross corpse. Aha, someone is coming to build the last bit of minecart track. Still doing it by the long route, I see. Yes, I'm afraid you're still going to see quite a lot of dead goblins for a bit. Right, and then we wait for, no, we don't wait for them to get clear. Right, that's now built, so now we can reconfigure the minecart route for that to say Well, let's just go for the simple one for now. Guide west immediately always. And then at the next stop, we say push off west immediately always. So I think that should do what we want. How long it will take someone to actually do the task, I don't know. Where is it? Where does it appear? Is there a guide track vehicle job anywhere? There is a task associated with it, so that's a good start. As you can see, this minecart is full of stuff. So the hope now is that someone will come along, push it westwards up the ramp, and then give it a good shove in the direction of the rollers. Right, first step done. It's at the top of the ramp. There are several people in the way. Excuse me, I'm just going to do something. I'm going to mark this bridge as a low traffic area. There we go, that might be a bit safer. So now I hope someone will come and push it. It'll then get caught by that roller and go whee up the twisty ramp. Then trundle along the long high line. Get off there, you cat. And then dump all of its stuff into the atom smasher. Go on, you can do it. No, it won't be yeeted into the sea yet. That's the next task. Is to build something for throwing goblins in cages into the sea, ideally removing them from the cage at the same time. No, damn it! Not right now. I hope they will be happy to hang around seeking a parley until we've tested this way of disposing of their corpses. Oh, is this someone going to launch the minecart? Yes. Here it goes. And what? Okay, something went wrong. I mean, we were expecting something to go wrong, to be honest. What has gone wrong is that the minecart is now here. So it made it like 1 or 2 turns up. Now hang on, it must have got up to there. Oaken log track north and east. To that roller. To that corner, which it successfully took. To those rollers on an east-west track. And then I think it somehow didn't make this corner. And ended up going whee out in this direction. And then stopped when it reached the edge of the map. No, it's landed now. It's a bit battered. And like entirely full of goblin parts still, which is probably for the best. But I think somehow, and I don't quite understand how, possibly because it like came to the top of the ramp and took off, Yes, we've seen that elsewhere, haven't we? That when a minecart reaches the top of a ramp, if there's no ceiling above it, it won't necessarily stay on the track and may launch into the air. So I suspect it then launched up to this Z level, flew through the air a bit and ran into the wall. So we need to install some plates above the corners to keep the minecart on the tracks so that it keeps going in the correct direction. Well, that's a job for next time then. Still, everything else was working. Well, when I say next time, of course, we do have the slight issue of goblins. And yes, all the objects are still in the minecart, and I think the minecart already has a place track vehicle job scheduled for it. So someone will come up and, at great effort, lug that minecart back to where it's meant to be. There, that task there. But we may have to pause that briefly while the goblins are dealt with. But that is all for another time, and right now I will save, return to the main menu and say good night. Good night.